Welcome to the What's Your Truth podcast, the show that not only showcases the best of independent artists, but also explores what inspires them, what drives them, and what they consider their fundamental purpose as an artist to be. Today on the show, we have supergroup W.D. Hahn. Originally hailing from Florida and recently swimming upstream to move into the Los Angeles scene, these guys are a three-piece rock band from outer space. W.D. Hahn is a band quite literally built on love and music, comprised of husband and wife team Spencer and Leah on vocals and drums, respectively, and rounded up by guitarist Cal and his lovely wife and band manager Marjorie. Having seen these guys perform live and in person, I can tell you that they're a true force to be reckoned with in the world of music. Where to start? Reminiscent of bands including the Black Keys, Young the Giant, and Cage the Elephant, W.D. Hahn has 3 albums under their belt as well as over a decade of, as the band puts it, face-melting live shows. Their most recent single, titled Good Man, has been hailed as a soaring indie rock anthem that ignites the spirit and a soothing ode to the journey of self-reflection by TJPL News and Music Arena, respectively. As for their live set, High Energy doesn't even begin to cover it. The combination of Spencer's searing and soulful vocals, Leah's primal yet nuanced drumming, and Cal's incendiary fretwork, watching these guys perform isn't just a show, it's a freaking rocket ride. They've toured all over the place, playing venues and festivals, including the Global Citizens Fest, Sunfest, the Viper Room, 97X Next Big Thing, and Springboard West. They've shared the stage with acts including Paramore, Walk the Moon, Silver Sun Pickups, and Kaleo, and they've toured to Asia 3 times. It's hard to find a tighter-knit group, and along with the fact of being comprised of 2 married couples, the band attribute their success to a love of fun, spontaneity, and lots of hard work. And it would appear that that hard work and dedication are paying off, as they've managed to grab the attention of no less than world-renowned songwriter and performer Ryan Tedder of One Republic, who very succinctly and appropriately states, "This band is great." It's a pleasure to have them on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome W.D. Hahn.
Well, that was like the best intro I think I've ever heard.
That was the most flattering, humbling intro I've ever heard.
Well, you guys earned every word of it. I mean, I didn't make any of it up.
I'm going to need you to send me that so I can send it to my mom.
Oh, I will happily send that to you. Very much. Cool. Well, shall we roll into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So first question is, how did you guys decide that you wanted to become musicians? And by the way, you can answer one, all, in any sequence you like. Open floor. I'm easy.
I'll let you guys go first. You were first.
Me? Okay, I'll go first. So music wasn't even on my radar for a majority of my life. I was into sports and I really liked basketball, and I would play basketball with music in the background, just shooting in the driveway and at practices and stuff. And then I heard Jimi Hendrix, and I thought, wow, this guy's really good. So I asked my dad, because I have to back up and kind of tell people how old I am, but this was before streaming and before iTunes. And the only way to hear someone's music is you had to either hear it on the radio or buy the CD. And at the time, I was a young kid who didn't really have much money to my name. So every album that I bought was like, okay, this is kind of a big purchase, So I felt like I didn't have that much information on Jimi Hendrix and who he was. I heard one song in a movie and I was like, wow, this is awesome. It's the first time I've ever paid attention to something other than the drums in a song. And so I asked my dad, I said, hey, Dad, does this guy Jimi Hendrix have any other hits? Like, you have some other songs of his?
This guy has potential.
As I say, he could be going somewhere. He could be.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, he does have other hits. You should check him out. He was very, very nice about it. And so I bought his album and loved every track on it and became a Hendrix fanatic. And from there, just continued to grow the music collection. And the first guitar I got looked like the Woodstock Strat. It was definitely not the same price, but and then just went from there. That was me.
Speaking of which, who's that behind you?
Oh yeah, and then now I have a dog. His name is Hendrix. So there you go. Hey, say hi to Johnnie.
Hey, buddy.
Good
Hello,
boy.
Hendrix. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Right on. And Leah?
Oh yeah. I had been involved, in school, music classes here and there. piano here, like violin there, and I always had fun. But one year, my dad got our family a drum set for Christmas. It was the family Christmas present.
Aw.
And yeah, so at that point, there was just a drum set in the house. And my dad is a drummer, guitar player, and I would just start jamming with my dad. And we would, play songs, play Jimi Hendrix, AC/DC, and ended up kind of joining bands around like age 14. And then from there, like once you're in, you're in. And
Yeah.
the rest is history.
100%. That's so cool. He got a drum set for the family. Your dad, I already know he's like one of the coolest people on the planet. I've never met the guy, but
That's right.
damn, that's awesome. Cool. And Spencer, what's your story?
I mean, my very first approach to music was when I was like a kid in school, and then I was in 4th grade, and then the school I was at, they're like, okay, everybody's gonna play a stringed instrument. You have to choose one for the year, in the hopes that some small percentage of people would pick it up and run with it. So I played viola, and I learned some basic songs. But that was like the first thing I ever did. Then I took some sax lessons at school a couple of years later. But for a while after that, it was kind of nothing. And then Cal and I were buddies in high school, and he had he'd gone through his whole Hendrix journey and was playing music in a band. And I was like, okay, my friends play in a band. This is great. I'm in the audience every time they play. I'll go watch and support and yell and, support them like an idiot and make noise. And had a great time doing that, but really just was kind of like, wow, it seems like everybody doing this is having a really good time. I wonder if they look so cool. I wish I could do that. I wish I could be that cool kind of thing, And so I, just because we were all such good friends, I ended up hanging out at some band practices they had because we were hanging. And I was absolutely terrified to sing in front of people. Like just, there was no way. It was like worst case scenario. Not even my friends. It was, in fact, that was maybe worse. Because it's not like a stranger I'm never going to see again. It's like these people. But they were very gracious, and so I ended up messing around, played a song at practice, and then it was their next gig, and Cal called me up on the stage without telling me he was going to do that.
Oh. Surprise!
For the next song, we're going to have a special guest singer. Spencer's going to sing. So then, of course, it's high school. A bunch of our peers and friends are there, and they're like going like Spencer, like no way I was seriously not going to go. I went up and did it. And like Leah said, once you're in, you're in. For me, I've talked about this in other interviews before, but it was like just a little, it was a little show. It was a high school band. It was not like I got up and played Woodstock or something, but it was like, oh, that's okay. Yeah, I have a moment where you're just like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah.
That was it for me. It was like I had all that terror, all that nerves, all that, like going up. But then the second I just started doing it, and it was like, oh my, this, I don't know if I've talked about this very much before, but like this, we're playing together as a team. There's something about that. Like even to this day, I don't perform by myself. I don't really have any desire to go be a singer songwriter. Like as a musician, I am the front man. I play music with these two. Like we're a team, and I write music with them. And that was the thing. Like, okay, I want to play music with these people forever, and that's what I've been doing since.
That's so awesome. And I will say it is cool, like being with the group that you have, especially when you've really got your line to each other dialed in, and it's a live dialogue between you as much as it is between you and the fans. And that really, I can say again, I've seen you guys, and that really comes through in your performance, and it makes it so much more powerful and bigger. Like I said, it's like a rocket ride watching you guys do what you do. So whatever you're doing, it's working, man.
I think it's there's no replacement for just playing that many thousands of hours together in practice and songwriting, and that many, that much time in the studio, that much time traveling together, that much time, so I think especially for Cal and Leah, who are providing the music, sometimes they have to just deal with me making a mistake.
It's
But,
true. Rule number one, you always follow the singer.
yeah, lead singer, freaking guys. Anyway,
Freaking diva.
freaking lead singers. But like it's definitely to the point where we could be mid song or mid something, and like a speaker could explode, or a mic could fall over, or a cable could fall out, or a battery could die, or the drumstick could fly, like it's all happened. Or a piece of like, oh crap, I sang the first verse again, or like all these things.
Yeah.
And we just kind of look at each other, or Cal and Leah would just exchange a glance, and then we're just kind of smoothly going into the next. It's just kind of just comes with familiarity.
That's awesome. You guys are a well-oiled machine for sure. So, what was the first experience you remember having with music, like at all?
I mean, how far back do we want to go?
Wherever you want to take it, man.
I think for me, my first major one is my mom had this tiny little car, which no one in the US has ever even heard of. It's a brand of car that's made in Australia called a Holden. And it was this little tiny little hatchback, and she got the Michael Jackson like double CD where he has like the big bronze statue of him on the front.
Yeah.
Greatest hit.
History, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's right.
History. Yeah. And I was maybe 4 or 5, maybe something, little kid. And she, when you're that age, your parents tell you something, you're like, okay. And she's like, Michael Jackson's really great. Like, okay, Michael Jackson's really great. And then the music started playing. We would listen to it in the car every day. Okay, let's put on Michael Jackson, And I mean, it's true. Michael Jackson's really great.
It is true.
And then not long after that, he was touring, on a world tour, and he came to the big stadium in Melbourne. My mom took me to go see him. So that was kind of my first, experience of like listening to an artist, being like, okay, I like Michael. This is part of my identity. You know what I mean? How that you kind of, I like, blah. You put yourself out that way. Yeah, I like Michael Jackson, as if that was a risk.
Yeah, right. No, but back then, until I mean, it's true. And man, what a great introduction into music. Jeez.
I mean, in hindsight, it quite literally couldn't have been better. I mean, it's like Cal hearing Hendrix and being like, is this guy, doing is like, what's this guy's deal, And then, just these classic songs on that album. So that was probably my first.
Epic.
I love the story. That's cool.
My first contact with music would just be growing up with my dad playing guitar in the house constantly since I was a baby, and just I don't know, it's just that familiarity, I guess, was always really nice, and getting to play on his guitar and hit around, and yeah, that was kind of my first contact. There was always music in the house.
Yeah, I would say the same for me. My mom would always sing in the house or in the car. I lived in New Jersey, so my parents loved Bruce Springsteen and John Mellencamp and all those kinds of guys, and my dad played guitar a little bit in the house, and so I'd always hear it, but I never really wanted to pick it up until later on. And then I started playing basketball, and the guys that I was around, they were listening to a lot of rap. So it was like Petey Pablo, like Nelly Furtado, even though that's not really like hardcore rap.
Where'd that come from?
Ludacris was a bit more out there. He's awesome. And then getting more into it for myself and discovering, what I liked, which were more the classic rock things. And then, yeah, I mean, what else? How do you go from there? It's kind of like you just want to pick up the guitar after that point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then who are the biggest influences on your work and why?
Ooh.
I mean, obviously Jimi Hendrix,
Well, yeah, that we know.
as we've established.
Yeah.
You know, Third Eye Blind is just one of my favorite bands. I've listened to them my whole life. Absolutely love them. Prince.
Hell yeah.
I don't know, like all the greats, but yeah, Third Eye Blind is my favorite. Alanis Morissette. What about you, Spencer?
I think for me as a vocalist, once I started playing in a band, I would listen to my heroes, or songs that are classics, or people, and I would hear people, like singers especially, do things. I'd be like, oh, I can't do that. And then then it becomes like a car and shower and rehearsal, like practice, build up the muscle, until sometimes, like, I think back, like sometimes I'd had a song in my mind for like 5 years, and I would keep coming back and trying to sing it, and as I would get more practice. But Brandon Boyd of Incubus, like I was as a teenager, Incubus was my favorite band. I still absolutely adore their music. And so he would do things, or where he would be singing and then soar into falsetto, or then like sing in this register, like really like full voice, but very like pretty high. And I don't know, I saw Incubus in concert quite a few times when I was younger, and it was just like he sounded exactly like the recordings when he was live, and it was a big influence for me. Like, oh, that's a true professional. That's like that guy's amazing, And then so other just incredible vocalists. Like, I mean, how could I not mention Chris Cornell? But it's amazing how my listening to music switched after starting to play music to, and even going to concerts and like and consuming other music. It's always, how did they do that? What happened? Like, what, I wonder what mic or what vocal chain or what, how did they write that lyric, or that kind of thing. Those are some of my influences.
That's interesting you say that about the practice, because I remember hearing certain songs and thinking, oh, that sounds pretty simple. Let me try to learn that song. So I'd look up the music for it, I'd open my music book and be like, oh, crap, that's really hard, actually.
Yeah.
And, getting my hand on the guitar in certain positions, it was so painful at first. So getting over that hump was really interesting. But I would definitely have to break songs down, like Purple Haze, for example. It sounded very simple, and then he's playing a particular chord in the beginning, which is kind of complex. So I wouldn't be able to play that part, but I know I could hit the first little bit. I tried to learn Spanish Castle Magic at one point because it sounded so simple, and I was like, oh wow, that's a little more complex than it actually sounds.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact, I'm pretty sure I know the chord you're talking about on the Hendrix tune. It's the same chord at the end of Welcome to the Jungle, by the way.
Oh,
Which is a bit to get to after you play the Welcome to the Jungle riff. Jumping to that chord is not easy.
Yeah, it's not. It's a kind of E chord. I don't even know the full name. I just call it the Jimi Hendrix chord, which I think
E sharp 7, I believe.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. But also, to your point, I would say for myself, Mark Knopfler is a big influence on me. Not that I don't claim to sound like any of my heroes, but he is just incredible, and he is one of these guys who has his own very unique style. And I love, of course, the song "Money for Nothing."
Yeah.
And I've tried to play that riff, and it's not easy to do, to sound like him. And I watched a video of him. He's like, oh yeah, I just do this and this and this. And he, of course, does it so effortlessly. I try to do it. It's like, I can't. How do you do that?
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, right. No, it's true. And he's one of those two that always blew me away because his clean playing is insane. And
Absolutely.
he does it, as I recall, he's all finger pick too. He doesn't use a pick, I don't believe. So
Yeah, super rarely he uses the pick. And I saw him a couple years ago on tour when he came through Florida, and his playing was just as fluid, if not better than it was, years ago. So
wow.
yeah, it's awesome.
Enough. Right on. So next question, what is the weirdest thing that's ever inspired you?
What a great question. The weirdest thing. Okay, hang on. I think some of the weird stuff. Okay, so we've traveled to Asia a few times, and needless to say, the culinary experience can be
Surprise.
for all.
I've heard.
And it's amazing because on one end of the scale it could be like the most delicious, incredible, amazing, brilliant, vibrant, incredible things to eat, but you need a friend who speaks the language to help you navigate your way through. So we ended up in some weird situations, and the phrase slimy is not one I'd like to apply to my food terribly often. But just these kind of weird experiences. But we wrote a song. We haven't released it yet. It's one of those ones that's been on the back burner. But I was inspired by these, sights and smells and sounds and weird tastes, and just like, oh my God, I'm not in Kansas anymore kind of moments. The song called Wanderlove, which is a play on wanderlust.
Mhm.
But that was probably one for me.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, okay. That's a great answer. Okay, so we have a song called "The Greatest."
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to.
It's a deep cut.
It's a deep cut. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but it is.
Oh, it's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let her-
Basically, the hook is "I'm the motherfucking greatest,"
I love that.
and it has like brass in it, and it was just this thing that came about at practice and late night in the studio where we're all just laughing and just like, I'm the motherfucking greatest, like, don't test me, I'm dangerous, like this kind of song. It's actually awesome. I love the song.
That's a great lyric.
But we had this.
Wasn't it just you were trying to create Chuck Norris lines each line?
Yeah, so we had this like chorus idea, and then it was like, okay, we're gonna record like, we're doing this, right? We're recording it. Okay, so I need verses. And so the way that it, like the whole feeling of the song, it was just like, oh, this just feels like one big Chuck Norris joke. And then I was like sitting there in the studio like, oh, I can't, what do I say that goes with "I'm the motherfucking greatest"? And so I opened this huge long list of Chuck Norris jokes and used them as inspiration for the lyrics. So it's like, it's me going bump in the night. Just to even the odds, I bring my knife to a gunfight is the first line. Never need to watch. Time is on my side. I shut off the dark when I bring the light. Anyway, so Chuck Norris jokes.
That's a good.
I really hope you record that soon. I gotta
Oh,
hear
it's
that.
recorded. It's out, man. It's
Oh, it is out.
We'll send it to you.
It's
send
on-
it to you.
Oh, the food one is the one that's not recorded yet.
no
That's right.
Wanderlove is not done, but
That's right.
yeah,
The greatest is on our Monkey EP.
Oh, good.
my favorite line is
You're gonna give it away? You're gonna give it all away?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, give me your favorite line.
My favorite line is, "Your Jeep is too slow, and I'm a goddamn T-Rex." I laugh. I try not to laugh every time I sing along with the song. Anyway, there you go. Fun.
I can imagine that would be a challenge. Jeez.
Yeah. I just, sometimes I wonder if somebody heard the song and wonder if I was taking myself that seriously, but I think it's pretty clear that it's pretty tongue in cheek,
Yeah. Definitely. So how has your art influenced other people?
Oh man, I made my mom cry.
Okay.
Um,
That counts.
In a good way.
no, yeah, in a good way. Not like, "I'm sorry, mama." Anyway,
man, Eminem quote in the house.
I think a big one for us is just like the audience reaction to when we perform live. What we're going for as a band is to like get people out of their own heads for a little while, and that's why we do what we do. And you know, when we perform, like seeing it actually happen, it's just extremely rewarding and humbling. And yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's the main one. Is I mean, you were very kind about our live performance in the intro, but we work very hard on it. We practice it a lot. We think about every second of the show, and we're, you know, what can we do here to make it you know, more engaging, or get people, you know, have it be more fun, or, you know, a better experience. And when we've played a lot of shows by now, so I think a lot of people have, you know, that's probably the best one, is just make people happy. I mean, I think the simplest breakdown is when I hear live music, it makes me happy, and I think the same people, I think people everywhere feel the same way. So
Right on. And that's huge. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, after you get to a certain point too, it's just my own observation from doing it myself. It's like when you get to the point where you don't have to think about your performance because it's so developed and so refined, it actually makes it so much more of a product for the crowd, you know, and you guys definitely have that. So that's really, really well done.
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. Now, shifting gears a little bit, do you have any pre-show or pre-studio rituals?
Post-show rituals.
Okay, we can do that too. Whatever you feel like telling me about.
I mean, we like boba.
Yeah. Who doesn't like boba?
We love boba.
Okay. I
We
feel like,
always hunt for the best. We think we found the best.
yeah, saying we like boba is a huge understatement. It comes from going to Taiwan, which is the origination place of bubble tea, and so, you know, we really like it and consider ourselves connoisseurs. You know, pre-show, I think I don't really have pre-show routines. It sounds funny, but like, you just, like, we've done it so many, like we could go perform right now, you know, and it would be great fun, and we go do the thing. It's not a lot of like, I've got to gird my loins to go to go do it, or like, it's just like, okay, let's go play, let's just go do it. A lot of the pre-show stuff is the hours in practice, and, like, you know, playing the song over and over again and that kind of stuff. Pre-studio routine, I don't know, I have to stretch my neck a little bit. But not a lot of like superstitious things. And I will say, we fairly often will go smash a cheeseburger after a particularly vigorous gigging.
You will.
I will. A steak and shake, baby.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yes, when we were around Steak and Shake, we would go to Steak and Shake after a show. Yeah, I would say for me, the show stuff, it's kind of boring, but it's just extra drilling on certain parts if I feel like I need to make sure that I, like you said, don't have to think about it in the moment on stage. I hate to be like, this part's coming up, what is it again? So I try to drill those as much as possible, and then my wife keeps me honest, and she helps me make sure that I have every piece of gear that I need before we go to the show, because there have been times where I've forgotten a capo or a cable or a guitar stand or something, or strings, and she's had to drive over an hour to go back home and to come bring me something. So it's making sure that I don't forget anything, basically.
Right on. It's true what they say, that behind every great man is a greater woman, isn't it?
This is very true.
I noticed that Leah's sitting behind Spencer, so that makes it works. We're in alignment with that analogy. That's good.
Very, very true.
It is a fact. So, what risks, if any, have you personally taken for the sake of your music?
Oh my God.
Well, I think the biggest one is moving out here to Los Angeles. Like, there are, I'm sure, a lot of people who want to do it, who have come out here to pursue their dream of whether it's music or acting or something else entirely. But then there are a lot of people who haven't done it. They've been told, hey, you should come to LA, or knowing, okay, I should move to LA, and then they just don't. We know some musicians who aren't playing music anymore, or tried to come out to LA, it didn't work out, and so to come out here, all live together, and it's exciting and it's awesome, and we love it, but it definitely is a bit of a risk, for sure, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on. Now, this next question for you guys, you're the first full band I've had on all at once. So I made this question specifically for you guys.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. What are your successful actions for managing your band dynamic?
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we started off good friends before we played music, which is great. But we have some kind of like guidelines, I guess, that we use like when we're writing a song, because I feel like that is a time when things can get contentious with some bands or like some artists, is like the songwriting, like, no, like I like it like this, I gotta have my part in this, or like, no, it shouldn't have that. We have we use these guidelines where anytime anyone has any idea in songwriting, we have a policy that you have to try it no matter what it is. Everybody's ideas, they're all given the respect, and we try everything. And that kind of any idea, if we want to implement it, we all have to agree. So I don't know, right there you kind of just eliminate a lot of fiery situations that bands get themselves into. What do you think, Spencer?
Yeah, that was a huge one. Is like we said in stone that if you're gonna be part of the group, then this is the rule. Like if we're writing a song, if you have an idea, first of all, if you have an idea, you better say it. Like everybody wants to hear it, and that was the and the understanding being that the other two are always going to listen, and even if they're like, even if internally they're like, that's a terrible idea, it gets tried at least one time. And our songwriting so often consists of like, Leo be at the drum kit, me and Cal are going like, you could do like here, like this kind of crap, or Cal sitting there with a guitar looking kind of like at us as we go, but you could go like like this kind of weird stuff that happens. But like, I'm just admiring them. They're so patient, and so they do adhere to that thing so well, because sometimes it gets to you find the or the thing, and it's like, yeah, that's not right, and we hear it and we all go, yeah, that's not right. But a lot of times it results in that thing gets played, like, oh, that's cool, and then say it's a guitar lick or something, Cal, because his ability is far outstretches mine that will ever on the guitar. He then takes that and like makes it his own. It evolves that way. So we decided to apply that to. It's a sort of an overarching. I'm so sorry about my computer. It's making noises. But anyway, it's a sort of an overarching thing of we are a team. So if WD Hahn makes $1, we each make 25 cents. If we're trying to write a song, we write it together. And that's not to say that Leah couldn't bring a fully formed song,
right,
and we couldn't play it. But having heard it, like if Cal heard it and was like, that's great, I love it, let's record it, then great. But if he then was going, oh my God, Leah, this is awesome, what about if we went to this chord here instead? Then the answer would be, let's try it out. And that's kind of the way.
Yeah, it's really trying to be as best we can to be respectful and have as much communication especially in that process, at least for myself, I can honestly say I have never taken so much offense to like a simple, hey, what if we try this? And I'm like, no, it's perfect. This is absolutely perfect. In no other aspect of my life have I felt so precious about something. So we know it's a funny thing, at least for me personally, of knowing like how precious I feel about something when I share it to them. But they're amazing and respectful, and we really do try as much as we can to just not shoot down ideas before we try them, and or not say that's really stupid, man, because I know that if I was on the receiving end of that, I would be throwing up double birds, like not really appreciate it. And I know I've maybe not handled things the perfectly every single time, but we really do try to do exactly what they said. And every time we have a song, at the end of it all, we're all very happy with it. And that's the other thing is, if one of us isn't totally satisfied about something, we keep working on it until we're all satisfied with it. And I feel like it pushes it to the next level as a product. Like, for example, with Good Man, it was one of the, I would say, the more simple songs to write, but also there was an element of it that was a little more complex. Like, I mean, the whole song was written in like half an hour, I would say. But then the guitar solo, I was having a bit of trouble with it, and they helped me through it. And it was nice because this time us and our producer were all in the same city. Instead of flying him out to Florida and only having 5 days to cram in 5 songs, it was like, being here, we have more time. And so I was a little like unsure. It wasn't really hitting. The guitar solo wasn't really hitting correctly. So I was listening to more music. I heard a Third Eye Blind song called The Background, which I tried a guitar solo, like something similar to what was in there. And they graciously were like, that's great. Let's go record it and see how it sounds. And so I recorded it, and it still wasn't really clicking. And then we kept working on it and working on it and working on it until it came up to be what it is today, which I feel like is really nice, and it communicates with every other piece. Rather than you have certain things that it's like, oh well, that doesn't really quite mesh well. So that's one of the things that I feel like in real life, quote unquote, using what they just said, that's how it went down, and to get that product is pretty awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I can say again from my own experience, like you're vulnerable when you're putting yourself out there as a writer. It's like the music hasn't become the band's yet. It's just yours. So
Yeah.
it's like you're up for potential censure and things. So it's really great that you guys have that approach. And that's a really key thing that I think a lot of people overlook. And also, too, getting it to the point where you're unanimously happy with it is just going to make the performance better as well. Like it's
Yeah.
going to get across better because no one's sitting there with a consideration on it. So I think that's really brilliant.
Yeah, and then also like everybody's happy to play it live. It's not like, oh well, I don't really like that song, let's move on to the next one.
Right.
So all these other things come into play as well.
100%. All right. So, what's one thing about you that would shock everyone to know?
Well, if you don't know us before we perform, like if you just see us perform and you find out after, finding out that we are 2 married couples, it shocks people. We get some crazy responses to that. People either like, wow, that's so cool, or like, how can you do that? Like, what are you doing? Like, you must have a really interesting home life and like all these things. I don't know. That shocks some people.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it's funny because the reactions we get, they run the gamut from like, whoa, that's so amazing, that's so cool. Most people are like, that's so cool, you guys are married. But then there are definitely people that they just cannot deal. Like, what do you mean? How do you do that? Another thing I think that would shock people is, where rock musicians living in California, we are totally drug free, and that's something that's unusual. But I don't think any of us have ever even been drunk. Like, we just don't drink or do drugs at all. So that's kind of an unusual thing, which I think you know, like to people who know us as friends, maybe it's not unusual, but to anybody who's encountering us or like, you know, that's definitely different.
Like, what were you on when you wrote Spaceman? Boba tea.
Yeah.
Literally. The boba was good that day, man.
Yeah, it was.
That Boba hit
No,
there.
that's awesome. And that's such a great example. I'm a big myself, like that it bothers me so much that people still get so dialed into that stuff. And I'm really happy to hear you guys say that. I kind of knew that, but I'm glad that you're vocalizing that, you're voicing that. That's a really important thing to promote and to be an example for, is to be clean as an artist.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
we've
go on.
also, the world in general, have lost so many great artists to drugs or, you know, alcohol or whatever. You know, the first singer of AC/DC, Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, all these guys, Kurt Cobain, to one drug or another. And it's just a shame. Like, I would love for them to still be alive and still creating music. So I think that's the way to go. It would be drug free.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean the great lie in our industry is like that it helps creativity or something, or that, you know, it's interesting, or it's like couldn't possibly be further from the truth. Like, you know, having seen other musicians who have gone down that road, you know, even with weed, I can think of people who I know and have seen, and the result is less output. Is honestly what I've seen, like less output, more time spent worrying about doing that, and less songs, less art coming out, and it's sad. It curtails that, you know, them and that their art. So anyway, it's actually, you know, I don't talk about it terribly often, but it's a pretty close to our hearts important subject for us, is artists being preyed upon by people trying to make money off selling drugs, basically, is what it is, and you know, being vulnerable to being squashed by that, you know, that predatory practice. So we want to be poster children for that. Like, it's all bullshit. You don't need it.
Absolutely. And I fully agree with you. I'm absolutely the same viewpoint. So I'm glad you're out there promoting that as successful artists, which you are. So what's the one thing or the one tool that you absolutely cannot live without as an artist, and why?
The one tool.
One tool. He goes to work with only this one tool.
Flight of the Conchords. For me, the one tool, my favorite is Logic and my laptop. Like I know a lot of the industry uses Pro Tools, and it's amazing software, but like Logic is $200, and I mean that's not nothing, but considering what it does, it's like it's nothing. It's unbelievable, and I feel like any kind of musical idea I could ever conceive in my mind, like there's a tool, there's a plugin, there's a way to do it, and it just right there on my computer, it works natively. I don't mean to advertise it, but that's probably
Apple, give us a sponsorship.
It's probably my can't live without.
I would. Do you want to say it, or do you want to say it? I would.
Our answer. No, I'm kidding.
Our answer, not Spencer's. So we, as a group, there's this amazing individual, Duncan Lorian, who has delivered music seminars all around the world, and it's called the Understanding of Music Seminar. So we've done that quite a bit and got a lot out of it, and I feel like we wouldn't be at this level without that information. So that's a.
It touches everything we do.
Yeah, you learn everything about music in 1 week, and it's incredible. It sounds like witchcraft, but it's real. So I'd say that, and then also for me, speaking of a tool, I love the Axe effects. So I that's my tool, and I use it a lot. I go to work with all of
the tones out of the Axe effects are ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how good it sounds.
No, it is true. And you use the FM6, as I recall, right?
I use the it's smaller, the FM3. I do want the bigger one, but I use that one. Yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah, no, and the tones out of your guitar are obscene. I mean, you also have a low guitar, which is pretty dope. So I'm sure that helps the tone a lot as well.
tool number 2 or 1A, 1B are the Mike Lall guitars that I have are incredible, amazing company up in Seattle. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Right on. So, what has been the most difficult piece of music for you to create and why?
I think I can answer for me. I had a song that was about, we had like a long-term family friend who was, like basically my grandpa. He wasn't by blood, but just, was a guy who was around, and he passed away from cancer. So I wanted to write a song about the struggles of cancer. And so the concept, it wasn't like, obviously it was a loss and it was emotional. I don't mean it was hard for me because I was like a wreck and couldn't do it, but the concept for me is I wanted to write an entire song about how much cancer sucks and losing somebody to cancer, and specifically not getting to see him because he was being taken care of in like a hospice place. And I was like, okay, well, he's there. I just mistakenly thought that like he had, it was like, okay, he might have a couple months there. And then I just got the call, like, okay, he passed away. And it was like, I didn't get a chance to go see him one last time and say, hey, I love you, that kind of thing. So it's obviously an emotional like subject. But I wanted to write the song without ever saying the word cancer. So like the lyrics of it kind of dance around this concept, and 6 little letters that rhyme with no answer, and like all this kind of stuff. So I had like a basic concept, but I couldn't finish it, and I don't know why. Not because like I couldn't think about it, or it just I don't know, like I had this start to it, and it wasn't. I couldn't work out where the chorus was going to go, where the song was going to go, and my teammates, my bandmates, helped me navigate that. So eventually, like quite a while later, we finished it, and it ended up. The song's called "Summertime Star Sign," because Cancer is a star sign.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody. It's because I specifically didn't say the word cancer. I think it's to some people they'll get it, and maybe others they won't. But
it can mean different
things. But I liked the way that it resolved at the end, because the verses are quite poetic because I wasn't using the word cancer, but the end of the song is meant to be the most direct. I'm not trying to write a lyric. I'm not trying to like, how can I craft these words cleverly, which is a game I like to play, but it is the most direct communication I possibly could give, which is, I want you to know that I love you. I should have told you before you were gone. So that's the communication. That was the thing I was trying to say with the song. And then I was like, why don't I just say that? And so I say that like 10 times in a row as the music builds, and Cal plays this like freaking tear-jerking, amazing like guitar solo behind, and that was the ending the song needed. And it came out as something that was like, that is exactly the piece that I wanted to have to honor my family, and to give to anybody else in the world who's lost someone to cancer. And I hope it's sitting there as a song that I don't talk about very much, but that was a difficult one because it just couldn't work out how to end it, how to give it an ending worthy of the song. But I'm really happy with what happened.
Right on. Leah, Cal, anything to add? Or does that cover you guys too?
I mean, Cal, I'm going to answer for you. Cal talked about the solo and Good Man. And I just want to say, he came back to that a bunch of times. And in my estimation, every single time he came back to it, the solo he made was amazing. Like, dude, that's awesome. But he, to his full credit, like persisted like a madman. No, it's not right. I got to keep going. So I don't know if that was the hardest, but it was definitely cool to see.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting situation. I'm happy that I had the time to do it. We weren't under any kind of time crunch. In addition to that, I would say actually writing for me straight lines. There was even though the song generally is a pretty simple song, there were just elements to it where, for me, it was similar to Good Man, and like, this isn't quite right yet. Like, I know we'll get it. Once we get it right, it's gonna be right. And we just added in, little pieces here and there, and it clicked. So more recently, I would say that one.
Yeah,
it's not as personal as Spencer's, but a different kind of struggle, I guess, with it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it means whatever it means to you, Your interview, your question. So if that answers the question, fabulous.
Cool.
Cool beans. So if you were going to write a book about your career up to this point, what would you title it?
Yeah.
Boba Quest.
Love that.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just gonna interject while you're thinking about an answer. So we were on the radio in Florida, and we were asked this question: if you could write what was on your tombstone, what would it be? And Spencer went first, and he had the perfect line. So I know this is gonna be perfect. He was like, he lived, he rocked, and that was the end. So when you asked me the question about the book, I was thinking of that.
They lived, they rocked.
They live, they rock. I don't know. But Boba Quest, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it could be subtitled Boba Quest. I don't know, or Boba Quest subtitle They Rock. Maybe you use them both. I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah,
that encapsulates everything we love. They also go to the movies sometimes.
That's all. Well, that's the sequel. That's the follow.
There you go. Yeah. Here we go again.
Right. So I have two more questions for you. My first one is, what are your plans for world domination?
To dominate the world.
Oh, okay, good.
Picking the brain styles.
Yeah, same as we do every night. That's right.
What do we do?
Okay, so our plans are, I don't know if world domination is a great one. Basically, we're going to keep making music no matter what happens. We make music for the people who are listening, and we love our audience and are honored to have them listen. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to consistently. We have 2 songs. Cal's going to the studio the second we finish the call. We're tracking new music. We're releasing songs. We're shooting music videos. We're playing out. We're playing the Poppy Festival on Saturday up by Santa Clarita. And like we're very busy. Like we're just constantly wanting to help people find our band and listen to the music, and with the end goal of, like Leah said earlier, just popping them out of themselves and having a good time. We just want to make people happy, and do it in a way that that's just basically it. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. The thing that I think has long come and gone, a lot of people start playing in a band when they're playing band in high school, and then it's just a thing they did. Bringing it sort of full circle to the first question or two of when I performed for the first time. I know these guys felt the same way when they were performing as the first few times. It was not like, oh, this is a fun thing to do and like hang out, and it's like an after school activity. Like this is my life. This is my purpose. This is what I want to do. This is the game that the thing I'm gonna do. So being here in LA, we're about just under a year into our journey here, and it's a whole new world, and we're just kind of let the world know we're here. Keep playing and making music and talking about it and appearing on wonderful podcasts like this one, and doing our thing.
Right on. All right, and then my last question, and just to revisit the introduction to this podcast. So the show not only showcases the best of independent artists, but also explores what inspires them, what drives them, and what they consider their fundamental purpose as an artist to be. So guys, what's your truth?
Fundamental purpose as an artist.
Um,
For me, I go back to what I said before, is that like I want to get people out of their own heads. People, this is a crazy world, and people spend a lot of time going around worrying about things or being upset, or life is hard and there's a lot of stuff going on, and for us to be able to give someone relief from that, even for a minute, is like, that is why we do what we do. That is our purpose. And it's the most fun thing in the world that we could possibly be doing, and we will never stop.
Yeah. And I'll just to add to that, we really just love to entertain the audience, really, and especially thinking about when the pandemic was in full roar, and there was the chance of no more entertainment industry as a whole. It was very dark days, But then when you see a great movie, when you read an amazing book, when you hear a great song, it is so inspiring, at least for us. And so to give that to others, if we also inspire them to pick up an instrument, or maybe to go and create some sort of other piece of amazing art like that, then we did our job. So
Right on.
Yeah.
Very cool. Spencer, anything else to add? Or did they take the words right out of your mouth?
No, they nailed it. That's great.
Wow, the singer rendered speechless. That's impressive.
Hey, oh.
Nice job. Rhythm section for the win.
Yeah.
All right. That was honestly, I love your viewpoint. You guys are fucking awesome. And that is such a great purpose, and it's simple, and that's been kind of one of the common things too that I've come across is, a purpose, the more simple the purpose, the more powerful. And it's a simple purpose to do what you just said, but God, how much of a difference does that make in a person's life when you can do that for them? Get them out of their head, get them to find their desire to do this crazy music thing and finding their passion and their purpose. Like, simple thing, but so powerful. So it's amazing. Thank you for laying that out. So all right, before we end off here, I did want to give you guys 60 seconds to plug anything you have coming up. 60 seconds of everything WD Hahn. Floor is yours.
Okay, so recently we dropped our latest single, Good Man. It's called Good Man. It's available to stream.
What's it called?
Good Man.
Oh,
it's available to stream on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, all the places.
Every streaming service.
So the most important thing is go listen to Good Man. Go add it to your playlists. Stream it on repeat. We want you to hear the song. We just shot an incredible visualizer video, which will be coming out shortly. So get ready. Go subscribe to us on YouTube to see that. And there's a full music video in the works, which will be out in not too long. We're also in the process of shooting videos for our other recent song, Straight Line. So Good Man is a emotional, amazing, like rock ballad. Straight Lines is blues, rock. It's like the two sides of our band. So go listen to those two songs, check them out. Follow us on Instagram. We are posting a lot of content there, and it's hilarious and awesome, and we're having a good time. If you use TikTok, then go there too. So that's the main thing. We are playing the Poppy Festival just north of LA here on Saturday. So if you're in the Southern California area, go to our Instagram. You can see details there. And then keep your eyes out because we're releasing new music all the time. So follow us on Spotify. That's the thing. That's what's happening.
Amazing. Guys, well, again, thank you so much for being here with me and for everyone watching. This has been the What's Your Truth podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Later.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. See you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you follow your own rules and you preach them on to me. But you don't think before you act, and you ain't got no business with me. You don't know. But tell me what's your truth? Oh, what's your truth? Now you got down on